because it's time to start the meeting and we do have a quorum. So with that, excuse me, with that in mind, I'll open the meeting for the Charlton Water Sewer Commission. Today is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. And anyone here from Commissioners Public Forum? Hearing none, I'll pass the baton to Robert Coleman. He has a couple of things to do for us. Robert, go ahead. Is there any audio here?
I think, Robert, can you unmute
Yes,
yourself? Okay.
I would make a motion to accept the minutes dated May 14th as written.
Do I have a second? Somebody should second.
I'll second.
Okay, now, I hope you've all had a chance to read these minutes. And if anyone has any discussion or comments to make or changes to make in the print or anything else, please speak up now. Hearing no one, I'll ask Cheryl to conduct a roll call vote.
Mr. Gardner,
Aye.
Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
And do you have any more for us, Robert? Have
I
warrants?
would like to make a motion to accept warrants totaling $83,293.01.
Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Again, if anyone, unfortunately now, we just give a total. There used to be a day when we did the individual warrants, and certainly they're available through Cheryl at the sewer plant, but otherwise, is there any discussion on the price or any of the warrants that can constitute that price? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote on the warrant, Cheryl.
Mr. Gardner,
Aye.
Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have Veolia with their MOR current monthly operating report for March of 2025. Are you going to do that, Vinny, or is Dennis here, or what's happening with that?
Dennis is gonna cover it.
I am here, yes. I believe we covered March at the last meeting, and I'll be going over April. April's MOR. So good evening for those of you who I did not see last time. My name is Dennis. I am the new project manager at the wastewater facility. I started there probably about 3 weeks ago now, maybe 2 weeks. I've been in and out. So you will see more of me, and I'm around if you need anything. So this is my first time going over this MOR in this fashion, so bear with me. I'll do my best. So I'll just start from the beginning, go to the end. Obviously in April, we lost several of the employees at the wastewater plant. We had on April 29th, we had one of our employees just hand over his keys and walked out. Unfortunately, we had Vinny resign, but he's still with us, so that's a good thing. And our last employee is working part-time to help us out in a transition, and he will be leaving June 16th. So in the meantime, we've employed some help from the Sturbridge folks to help cover shifts. we have myself, we have another manager that's been helping me out to cover the plant. And also I brought in an employee from Lynn, who was an experienced O&M to help out with some of the maintenance and some of the operating of the plant. He will be with us for the next couple weeks until I can solidify a couple interviews that we've had to restaff the plant with our own personnel. Following that, for the health and safety of the plant, we continue to do our computerized training and hold our morning meetings in that respect. Going on to the operations and maintenance side for April. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, so I'm going off based off of the information that I've gathered. So there was some repairs finished to the chemical room, to the ceiling, some patching, I believe it was. We did some light maintenance around the plant, including painting of the pillars of in the effluent area to bring some beautification to the inside of the plant. We had a UV train go down. One of the UV trains went down because of a bad socket for the power, so that was repaired. So we have been fully functional with the UV train since. And we also had a failure with the EQ tanks with the VFDs. So from my understanding, the EQ tanks have had several issues with power supplies going out there. And since then, you'll come to learn when we get to May and June, that we've had several catastrophic failures of the power supply to that area and had to call in contractors to replace all that underground wiring. They found many burnt wires and melted insulation, and that also caused, in the meantime, it caused several short circuits, and we blew a couple VFDs and some other electrical components to the system. For the month of April, let me see here. There was 3 house calls. One wasn't a house call. It was a sewer inspection, a connection inspection at 100 Worcester. That went well. There was a house call at 135 Sturbridge, what ended up that was turned into a bigger event, which was I don't know if you guys have heard, but the event that happened in front of Amazon, the new Amazon facility. There was a blockage that we believe was caused by the Amazon facility, and that backed up Route 20. So we had to call in Slims for that. They worked in emergency response to clear that line out and get it flowing again. We have since inspected that line. I was personally out there myself on Route 20 and inspected the line, and it's free flowing, and we shouldn't see any issues with that in the near future. And then we had another house call at 231 Sunset, and we ended up replacing the floats and some wiring there for their grinder pumps. The monthly inspections, typically, like fire extinguishers and the pumps were all completed for the month of April. Nothing was out of the ordinary. We did 6 sludge loads to Cranston for disposal. April, we went through 6 totes of caustic. Just over 600 pounds of polymer were delivered. We didn't use all that. I'm sorry. We also got 6 totes delivered of caustic, but likely we used that all. And about 50 pounds, we got 216 50-pound bags of soda ash, which we still have plenty of when we're going through that, so we don't have to order that too often. And then, yeah, so that pretty much completes what I have for April, unless Vinny can think of anything. It looks like April was pretty
Just
much
a
of a
little
standard
add
month.
on to that Route 20 sewer backup. That one was not at the Amazon site. That one was a little closer to Treehouse at a drop connection. The Amazon one was in January.
Okay, all right.
So
I
there's
can-
been 3 backups on Route 20 this year. And they've all been at different locations. So just a little clarification on that.
So that pretty much concludes my information that I have for April and the MOR, unless somebody has any information or questions that I can ask or that I can answer for you.
I have a question, Dennis.
Sure.
Oh, how many RBCs are you running now?
10. We're still running 10.
And how many total do we have?
10.
So what's your just gut feeling? I know what the flows and the load-in says, like, are we nearing plant capacity? Or like we've only got 65% of the flow that we're permitted coming into the plant, and we're running all the RBCs. Do you have a feeling that we could like almost double our flow and not be in trouble? Or
So we recently reached out to some engineers within our company to help us try to figure out what we can do with that. So I think a lot, and this is a speculation that I have that, I just shared with the engineers, and we're going to look into it further. But I believe that the fluctuation of the flow coming in is really making the RBC suffer. So, we basically run during the day at a normal capacity. And then at night, we drop off sometimes to 0 flow. And if you work with RBCs, you'll know that they really don't like loading. Not loading, fluctuating levels. They like to stay pretty
wet?
standard. So we're I see it as we're turning the plant on and we're turning the plant off very often, and it's suffering. I mean, I threw an idea around of possibly recycling our effluent to try to stabilize our flow to keep our process happy. So it's hard to answer that right now. If we can, ideally, yes, we could turn some off, but I don't think it's an appropriate time at this point, at this moment, until we get some more information on that.
I think about a fairly small town like Charlton receiving these massive dumps of high BOD waste from a beer manufacturer as being really difficult to do. And I just was curious, and is that reaching out to consultant engineers? Is that something that is under your contract as Veolia, or is that?
Yes,
something
that's our internal engineers from Veolia.
Okay.
It's a group that we have access to, and this is what they specialize in. So we had our first meeting last week. We have another one due this week. They're looking into some of the numbers to figure out why it is that our loading is kind of going up and down, which we can kind of figure out. I'm more concerned about the flow. I think the flow is really affecting the biological process. And like I said, it's like it's shutting off every day, the plant, and you can't shut the plant off. It's got to stay consistent. So I think once we kind of work that out, we could possibly look into shutting some RBCs down, and when we concentrate the process. But without flow, it's hard to do that. It's almost running like an SBR plant, basically, is what we're running with RBCs.
Yeah, I don't want to slow the thing down, but I'll just say this because I think I want to mention it later on in the meeting. But like last week, we granted capacity to some places, like one of them is a fire station, and we didn't necessarily know how much flow we were granting. And I wonder whether we're getting to the point where we should say to these applicants, like, okay, you want to tie in, how much wastewater are you going to discharge? Because we might be getting to a point where we can't turn on any more RBCs. So that's why I asked at this point. And I just was curious whether that was really the case.
I think once I get more information from the study that we're going to do, I'll have better answers for you. I have some ideas, and I think we could possibly take a little bit more flow, but if it was more consistent, it would be better. If it would be great if an industry just flowed at night and then
But
we
we
can,
have one of
we
those
can
coming
take that on.
online.
Yeah, so there's some things that we could possibly do, but I'll have better answers for you probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
When
Yeah, I was just
that
curious.
distribution hub gets finished, part of their deal is they have to pump everything at night.
And I think that would be
Yeah.
very beneficial to the plant.
Yeah, they're gonna have flows similar to what Amazon has. But they have a pump station to discharge it. And when they come online, they're gonna have to only discharge at night.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So do the numbers work out such that that's going to make it consistent, or will we still have trouble?
In previous years, we were at our pounds limit every summer. And pounds per day is something, I don't know how you make it less. I mean, the plant's only designed to treat so many pounds per day. And we were over that limit for the past 2 summers. So. I don't know. I mean, hopefully we get a bunch of watery stuff and the big industrial users start treating or pre-treating better than they have.
Okay,
We all in? Any more discussions? We're ready to move on? Yeah, okay. Well, next. Go ahead, somebody say. Next up, we have people from the Finance Committee and Assessors Office and Town Collector to talk about privilege and betterment fees. Who's here to represent them, Cheryl? Somebody or everybody?
Kathy Stanley and Ashley and Sue Malone are here.
Okay,
I think my name is Kathy Stanley. I'm the assessor. And I'm, I think, gonna be the primary person to speak. If I miss something, one of the others will chime in and help me out. So in the past, we have had the privilege fee or connection fee, or, there's a lot of different words that get used, but the $8,200 fee that allows somebody that is in an area where they can receive the service to pay the connection fee. And at one point in time, it was done in a way so that it could be spread out over 20 years. And that's a betterment that gets applied to the real estate through our office. And so that's why it affects us directly, and we're here to talk about it. But the problem with that is that there's so much construction going on that we feel that it's time to shift that policy and have it be paid upfront. If you are building a new house, you go into the Board of Health and you either have to prove that you have a connection fee or you have to put in a septic system. You can't build a house without having an approved septic plan. And putting in a septic system is like $20,000 or $30,000. So I don't think it's a lot to ask to say to these people that have the beautiful privilege of being able to connect for a mere $8,200 to the sewer to pay that fee up front. Otherwise, what happens is the builders a few times have not paid it, and then they sell the house, and there's a new homeowner that may be barely qualified to buy the house to begin with. And now all of a sudden it's the once a year. We only can put a betterment on something once a year. So say they move in January, all of a sudden in August or September, we're saying, hey, you owe $8,200. How do you want to pay that? And it's not good. It's just not a good situation. It's not a good practice. So we're advocating to say, can we change that policy where if you're building a new house, especially if you're a builder or contractor, that's a drop in the bucket for them to pay that $8,200 up front. Like you said, if they're putting in a septic system, I've talked to Jim and the Board of Health, it's going to cost them $20,000, $30,000, maybe more. It's a very small amount for them to pay. And then that way there, when a new person moves in, there's no headache, there's no oops, shocking type of thing. So that's what I wanted to discuss. I don't know if there's questions or how we would go about making that policy change so that if somebody comes in to build, They just pay it. Ira Stevens came in to my office a few times and wanted to pay it because he wanted to move forward on 100 Worcester Road, which I understand now you did go and finish that one. And so finally we did accept the $8,200, but it's really something that should be paid down there at Water Sewer. I've spoken to Southbridge and they do the same thing with water there. Somebody comes in, it's like, you want to connect, you're going to pay right now. You come in, they write a check, they pay it, and everybody can move on and you have your money. And I think it's probably for the best, but I'm open to questions.
No,
Eric, is that how, are we in charge of changing the rule? The commissioners?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm asking, how do we go about changing that rule to make it an upfront pay? Is that on the Water and Sewer Commission?
Yeah, I think so, because in the past, my predecessor, Deb Ciccarini, she's been retired for about 5 years now. But back at one time, there was a lot less construction. A lot of it was homeowners. It was a different situation. And she's the one that suggested to do it how it's been done. And so now I think that's why we're coming forward. It may not be that you have to actually make a policy. Maybe you just make an inter-office sort of policy that this is the best way to move forward.
If I might, let me explain where these figures came from in the first place. You're talking about building a new house, and I understand what you're saying, and I perfectly agree with you. But what happened before is there was no sewage in town at all, and then the pipes went in front of houses that were existing for 20 or 30 years, and that's where the betterment fee came from. And that's why people are, what, sure, you know, what am I going to do now?
Right.
So they were given 20 years to pay it because it wasn't their fault that the rest of the town or somebody decided to put sewer in front of their door. And the difference between the betterment fee and the privilege fee is if they run pipes in front of your house, that at that time it's called the betterment fee. If for some reason you're able to tie in a year or two later, then it's a privilege fee. But I think we would have to have a divided policy of some sort between new homes and existing homes. Fortunately, when we had all the water put in from Noble a couple of years ago, they paid all the fees. So it didn't hurt anybody in particular. But if you're an older person in particular and you got a home in a certain road, and all of a sudden somebody 3 houses down from you decides to put in the sewer and it runs in front of your house, you kind of need some time to pay that. But I think this might be something for us to give some more thought on and think of a way to accommodate both new and existing homes.
Yeah, I mean, right, you could make the policy so for new construction, if it's new construction, it's such a drop in the bucket on what a house costs to build nowadays. It's nothing. And it's so much better than building a septic system because it's so much cheaper that, you know, if it's new construction, it's this fee, but we can give them options if it's another way.
I
it's not
totally agree with, yeah, I agree with that. Any comments from the rest of the board about that and how we might separate new from existing construction?
Yeah, I just have a comment because I was on the board in 2003 when we applied the betterments. So we took a map of the town, every buildable lot received a betterment. We counted up the total number of buildable lots and we divided the total project cost by the total number of buildable lots. That's how we got $8,200. And then at the time, everybody on that plan was granted by law 20 years to pay for that because they didn't necessarily have the option to do that. So I do agree that that should be ended, and I'm surprised it actually continued, that people could get in on the free 20-year loan. But I do think there are lots out there that would be new construction that already paid a betterment. So I think
we have records of that.
Yep, right.
Yeah, if they did pay it, we have a master file. I think Cheryl has access. You probably all have access to it. And some other file that sort of lists everybody that's paid. So that's the first thing that can get done as we look. But I mean, in the case of 100 Worcester Road, that was a unique situation. It's not new construction, right? It's pre-existing. It already had a connection on the main house. That brings up the ADUs. You know, when you're having an ADU such as that one, they were having a second connection on pre-existing. They wanted to pay it. They're coming in and saying, I want to pay this. So I think, you know, if somebody wants to come and pay it, they should just pay it, right?
I mean,
That's the best thing. When somebody comes in, is to be able to say, even if it is existing construction, if they can pay it up front, it's a lot easier than us giving out all these loans.
I would be prepared to, move in that direction today, but I really don't know how the application fees and all that stuff are done, so I think I'd ask Cheryl to kind of make a recommendation to us on how to change the forms and what we're calling it, because I just don't know how the plant right now is taking those applications for new tie-ins. But that's the way I feel about it, so.
Is it I might be oversimplifying. Is it as simple as making a motion to develop a policy for any new construction where a betterment has not been assigned to pay up front?
I think we have the ability to do that.
Are you making that motion? Because I'll second it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make that motion. So I'm gonna make the motion to, all right, thanks.
Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
And let's
I
have
just,
some more discussion on the situation, how we would separate them from new construction. And when you talk about new construction, do we have to differentiate between the son of the person next door building a house, or as opposed to a professional builder building a house, or should that just be new house period without regards to if it's a builder or not?
I was saying keep it simple. So it's any new construction where a betterment has not been assigned. And again, if that's too, I'm good with other opinions if that's too simple.
I agree that that's exactly how it should be, all across the board, all new housing.
Okay, let's see, we've had a vote, we've had a
You
second.
Mr. Groton did the second, Paul.
So
It's a roll call. So Mr. Gagner,
Aye,
Mr. Bernard, Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman,
Aye,
Mr. Robert Coleman.
aye.
okay, we should be good with that. And I assume Cheryl will, I don't know, this going to our bylaw, or what is this wording of this set? Do you have any idea, Cheryl? And certainly, whenever someone builds anything, they have to get signed off by the sewer department as well as all the other departments. And we would have not the ability not to sign them off till it's paid.
Cheryl, I think we talked about this a little bit when you came up to the office, and that it could be just a policy. I don't know if you have like a policy handbook for the sewer department, but I would think it would just be something as simple as a policy. I don't know that it would need to be a bylaw. And then I think, Cheryl, you were saying that to develop so that it doesn't need a vote. That was something, again, that was suggested back in time, but it doesn't really, if somebody comes in and wants to pay it, that Cheryl is able to just accept the payment because she can see that it's something that's connected. Cheryl, is that what we talked about?
Yes, that everybody, new construction or anyone that wanted to connect, they would be paying me directly. Now, my suggestion is for that is we can put something on the sewer permits pertaining to privilege or betterment fees being paid. We can add it on to that. That way everybody knows they've been paid, that it's been checked.
And this policy will be effective when? Immediately or the 1st of July, which is a new fiscal year?
That is your call.
Well, let's hear any thoughts from the board on that.
well, as long as we have all the i's dotted and the t's crossed as soon as possible. I don't know
Yeah,
when
do we need the drafted policy and then approve it and have the date? So I'm
Okay,
making this up. Oh, so go ahead.
so for the next meeting, approve the everything for the next meeting.
I feel like that's a good goal. Others?
that would be great.
Unless there's somebody
Yes.
like halfway through the process and we're changing changing the rules when they're halfway through, I think we'd have to discuss those situations.
Well, we also have the ability to take a case like that on an individual basis
Yeah.
and as a board decide.
Grant an
You know,
exception?
Yeah,
When is your
Or-
next meeting? Sorry.
It will
Uh,
be July 9th.
So then maybe we just target enforcement for August 1, just to
Okay.
land the plane.
I second.
sounds reasonable.
And Tom second.
We don't need a motion, do we, to go at August? I don't think so.
August
July.
1.
We've
Yeah,
talked
July
about it.
1.
and,
I
um,
can put it in Mr. Bernard's motion. Add it in there.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah. You amend the motion to review draft in July and then effective August 1.
Yep.
Does that work for everybody?
I second
Yep.
that.
And Mr. Robert, you just second?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no, is there any more discussion or?
Just to clarify, somebody can take a loan when they're going to build a house, and this cost can be added into the loan, as well as can measures be taken to ensure that if somebody is selling a house, that the buyer is informed of the annual fee that they're going to have to pay, or because we certainly don't, because this would not necessarily, if we're still going to allow new old houses which receive the benefit, then, and this doesn't affect if a house is sold. So we definitely want to make sure we can resolve that issue as well, if possible. I don't know what we can do from our end, though.
Yeah, that's already all set. So if there's a pre-existing betterment that's already been applied to a house and a house sells, then it appears on the MLC when the bank goes to close, they request something from the collector's office, and then all of that information is put on there so that the buyer is well informed of what's happening, and that it's something that either they pay it before closing or that they're gonna assume paying that back after closing, and it just becomes part of their tax bill.
Okay, so the issue was just with the new houses then.
The issues with the new houses, I think what they were talking about for pre-existing, there are some people, I think especially maybe on Hollywood Drive, that the line went in front of the house, but they chose not to connect. And I think they've received letters like, you only have so much time, if you're gonna connect, you need to connect. That would be a maybe more unique situation, but it's not that common. It's mostly
Okay.
new construction or an ADU. So I think, Cheryl, when you adopt the policy, if you can include the ADUs, because the ADU is kind of new construction, but it's on a pre-existing home, but it's a second connection to that ADU. If it could include that, I think that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll wait till next month and see what Cheryl has come up with and up for approval or not, or whatever, or more suggestions. And that concluded. Anything else on this subject tonight?
Have to do a roll call, Paul.
Oh, I'm sorry, there was a vote in a second there, wasn't there?
Yes, there
Yes,
was.
go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
I
Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman.
Aye.
And Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. 6:50 appointment, or a little bit late. 5E, the Mass Turnpike and McDonald's. I saw Chris McClure earlier. I assume he's still there. You're up. There you go, Chris. Fill us in, please.
Sure. So the last meeting we had discussed an abatement for 5E, and I believe that Cheryl has provided the commission with the actual values that we're looking at. We had discussed the issues that they were having there, and those issues have been resolved. Both myself and Vinny have reviewed the resolution and are reviewing their day-to-day water usage because of the accessibility that we have to their meter, the remote read. So we would support at this time the abatement of that. It's the Q4 bill, right, Cheryl?
Yes.
Q4 2024. And again, this would be the last abatement relative to that property, given the new circumstances of the new meter that's on site.
Does everyone have it on their paperwork? I've got $146,208.46.
I
Does
have
everybody
that.
have that in front of them
Yes.
somewhere? If case then any reasons why we should or should not grant this abatement? Hearing none, I'll ask Cheryl to take a vote.
Did nobody, who made the motion?
Oh,
Paul tried.
I need somebody to make a motion to accept that.
I make a
I'll make-
motion to accept the abatement.
Second.
any other discussion on that?
Paul, if I could, I just want to make sure that the applicant is aware that it does not, there are some late fees that are associated with that. They're not affected by it. They have to pay those late fees. The abatement is only for the bill, the actual sewer charge itself.
Okay. So,
Roll call.
Cheryl,
Yep. Mr. Gagner,
aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. We've got 86 Berry Corner Road. They want a water tie-in. Water tie-in approval. I don't think we have any reason to deny them that, but we do have to
Contin-
make sure that fees are paid.
Correct. Approval needed contingent after paying fees.
Okay. So, do I hear any motion to let 86 Cornerberry Road tie in to water?
Yeah, I'll move that we grant the permission for 86 Berry Corner Road to tie into the water.
I
And a
second
second.
that.
And any more discussion on that?
Is this the kind of thing that the commission has to do, or is this the kind of thing that we can eventually grant
I
authority
think,
to?
my opinion is just a formality.
Yeah.
I don't believe we can deny them tying in.
No, I didn't mean that we would deny him. I meant that we could like grant this authority to Vinnie if everything's tied in and everything else is done.
I think here we're more concerned that we get our fees before, that's what the approval, I think, is for, to make sure they paid their fees before they're given formal permission.
Can I
Paul, if I-
chime in and ask then, would this be the kind of thing where you're going to ask them to pay upfront?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
If I could comment as well, Paul,
Sure.
this is Chris. So that application is a twofold application. It's got to go to both the town of Charlton and the Southbridge Water Department. So, there are, and to the commissioner's point there is that there are some pretty special circumstances surrounding this water system, different pressure zones. So, those factors should all be considered when they're looking at this, because there's reduced pressure zones and high pressure zones. And so that the connection needs just to be reviewed by all parties, just to ensure that these folks don't put they know what they're getting into when they do connect to that water, to that water system, i.e. having to put in pressure reducers or booster pumps or that type of thing. It's just, it's not always going to be a standard, hey, connect and you should be good to go. I just wanted to make that point. So everyone's.
But if that is the case, they're not getting that special expertise from us, where we are as far removed from the intricacies of the water system as 4 or 5 people can be.
Yeah.
So those should be things, if that's the case, then should we be getting your buy-in or somebody else, some other experts buy-in before these things are approved by us?
Yeah, like would Viola technically sign off on it? Is that where you're going?
Well,
Before
this is
we vote.
water, so Veolia is not doing the water. It would have
Oh, okay.
to go through somebody who's familiar with the water system, right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve Gregoire from the Southbridge Water Department is on, and I think you're right, Eric. It will be just a mundane thing at this point, but ensuring that you guys are going to get your privilege fee, the connection fee, and the application is filled in, and all that. So I do think it will become, it should, become just a quick review. Now, in the sewer side of it, obviously you want to make sure that, because the Southbridge Water Department will be looking at those connections, will be doing the inspection. So just want to make sure that's clear too, that as long as everybody's on the same page for the water side,
Yeah, I think in a bigger picture, I'm wondering whether somebody makes an application, Cheryl says, okay, you're authorized to do it, you've paid to do it, and then it has to go to somebody like yourself or somebody else that knows and says, yes, the water system at that spot can handle it, it needs a pressure reducing valve, or it needs a booster pump, or whatever it is, and have all those things like checked, so that, because we're really rubber stamping this based on, other people's recommendations. And I'm wondering whether we're getting all those recommendations right now before we're just, they've been paid, here you go. And if there's intricacies that we should be aware of, I don't know that the right parties are making us aware of those things.
Yeah. So probably going into the future, you would be notified on a month, at your meetings, these are the people that connected. They obviously went through the application process and everything was reviewed and approved. So
are you currently retained by us to do that kind of thing?
yes, I am. Yep. If there's some special circumstances that require, engineer review or inspection, they typically would defer to McClure to do that. So,
yeah. So are we passing these, like this 86 Berry Corner Road, about this one and you approve it? That you recommend it?
That one would go to, obviously to Steve. I will take a look at it and review it, ensure there's no special circumstances. And then Steve, the Southbridge Water Department would also, as the operator of the water system, would also make those notices as well.
Yeah, I just was wondering about the steps before it gets to us. So
Yeah.
I would like to ask something on the application for the water connections. Can I also put something on there about acceptance of privilege fees and the town of Southbridge getting their fees paid? So that way we know both.
Could I defer could I just to bring Steve into this, if that's okay, because there has been in the past, there's been some communication protocol there. Steve, are you on?
Yeah, is my audio working?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Great.
I didn't want to chime in before I got to my letter on the agenda, sorry.
Sure.
No, we're pretty lucky. Chris and I have a pretty good working relationship. I see the permits when they come through the office. My admin, Robin, will key me in on the Charlton ones because she's aware of the sensitivity of the system as well. And if I think we're in any part of the town where something is near the line, so to speak, of where there could be an issue, I'm reaching out to Chris right away and we're reviewing the pressure zones and what have you. So from an operational standpoint, as far as the permitting, you're pretty in good hands there, as far as the physical hooking up to the system in the proper way, in the proper zone, what have you. From the permitting side, what we've done in the past is people would come to Southbridge first to get their permit. They'd run that through our office, and then we would make sure that they go to Charlton afterwards. Luckily, even if they don't come to us for a permit, they're not getting the water turned on without doing the permit because we control the valves. So if someone does slip through the cracks, there's no chance of them permanently slipping through the cracks.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve.
And Steve, can I ask, in Southbridge, does some high board above you guys approve these tie-ins?
The tie-in starts with my admin. I review it, and it ultimately gets signed by the DPW director. They've got final say over the water system in Southbridge.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
And I have been in contact a lot with Robin on all the water connection permits.
Okay, we all in on this subject?
All right, I have a question. Who seconded the first motion?
That was the motion on Berry Corner Road?
Yes,
Yeah, I do not
Eric,
recall who seconded.
okay,
No, I will second it. There we go. So
okay, all right, perfect.
Okay, any more talk about it? Cheryl?
Mr. Gagner,
Aye,
Mr. Bernard,
I,
Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
okay, we're ready to move on. Next up, we have Old Worcester Road, J. Du Bois Contracting, Water and Sewer Connections Approval. Again, I don't know if there's any reason we can't grant it, but Cheryl, do you have anything to explain about it? It's a standard connection?
This is a pre-planning. He would like to get permission before he moves on.
Okay, have we,
And I do have a plan that I could not copy to send to you guys, but he did give me a plan that you guys are more than welcome to look at if you'd like.
do we
To-
have any
to-
reason that you're aware of that why he should not be allowed to connect?
It would be contingent upon paying the privilege fees.
Just as fees, okay?
but I guess to Eric's point earlier, other folks have looked at this and there's no concerns.
Mr. McClure has not looked at this yet.
Cheryl, does he have a sewer lateral? Is there a sewer lateral to the property, or is this a lot that was broken off?
This is it is an empty lot. Look at the plan.
I guess specific to the sewer connections, if there was a lateral that's existing to the property line and they're just connecting to that lateral, we would want to make sure that an inspection was done when they did make that connection. If they were proposing to tap into the main, we would want to see that design and to ensure that the tap, the way that they're tapping it and the saddles that they're using are consistent with the sewer department's policies. So that would be the question there.
Cheryl,
Do
do
you
we
like-
have a number Old Worcester Road?
No, it has not even gone to the DPW yet for the permitting process. He hasn't even started any of that yet. Chris, are you available to stop by tomorrow and look at what I do
Yep.
have?
Yep. So if it's within your distribution system, like I said, it'd just be a matter of whether it's a lateral. If not, then we're going to want a little bit more detail as far as what he's going to be doing to make the connection to the main. Obviously, he's going to be if he has to get into that road, then we'll have to look at the highway department's requirements because that road is newly paved, and how he's going to patch that. And but if there's a lateral going into the property and he's just picking it up at the property line, then that'll just be an inspections and connections that myself or Veolia would accommodate when they get into that point in time.
Okay, any more discussion on that?
I don't think there's a motion.
No
No,
motion yet.
we're waiting for one. If there's no more discussion, let's have a motion, please.
Well, do you want to wait till Chris
Well,
looks it over before we
gonna
make a motion on
Make a
this?
motion subject to
Oh.
approval by Chris McClure, but otherwise it takes another month or so sometime to get this through our board, and the guy's just looking for preliminary
Correct.
reasons why he might be refused. If we don't have any, which most likely Chris will be able to answer.
So it's
then,
okay to make a motion to approve pending Chris's
that's
approval
correct.
or something like,
Yes.
okay, got it.
Yep.
And privilege fees are paid.
And privilege fees are paid, sorry, yeah.
So-
That's just an asterisk. It should be there all the time.
Okay, do I have a motion, please?
Oh, I can make the motion to approve pending Chris McClure sign off.
I
Correct.
second.
Second, and any more discussion on that? If
Did-
not, Cheryl,
Tom, did you second it?
I did.
Okay. Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
I,
Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. If I look at my agenda correctly, Chris McClure is up again with the discussion of the Route 20 Richardson Corner Road project.
It should be Mr. Steve Gregor to make an introduction to the board.
Great.
Yeah, thank you for having me tonight. I think Cheryl invited me here tonight, probably at the board's request, just so you can put a name with the face, so you know who you're calling if you've got a direct issue within the water system. Some of you I've had, different levels of contact with. Some of you, this is the first time you're seeing my face. But I thought it was good if everybody just gets to know me. I had a really good relationship with the last board, and I'd like to continue that. I think we've made some really good progress in the water system over the last several years, and a better relationship than the town probably had a decade ago, the two towns. And I'd like to keep fostering that. So if, without taking up too much of your time tonight, I'm here to answer any questions you have for me, or if you want after this meeting, if someone wants to reach out to me directly, Cheryl can provide you with my email, or we can email back and forth. So the whole board has my phone number, just in case of any emergencies pop up.
I have a question, Steve.
Sure, go ahead.
There's a couple items on the sanitary survey that ask Southbridge and Charlton to get together and resolve. Are those underway, or is that something that the board is going to have to address in the next couple months?
One of the issues, some of the issues you've seen with the mapping has pretty much already been resolved. Beta is helpful with that. So I've supplied all the new base maps to DEP to take care of those requirements. There's one in there relative to getting an agreement between the town of Charlton and Bay Path and Overlook. So this is where our relationship is kind of funny. We run the system. It's one water system. Charlton owns that part of the system. So DEP is requiring the town of Charlton to come up with an agreement with those two pump station owners to just have them agree that they will do the preventive maintenance as manufacturer recommended. And how that ties in, because we're responsible for the water to the last free flowing tap by code. If they don't maintain their pump station, it affects our ability to live up to that part of our agreement as a water system. So DEP wanted there just to be a real simple agreement between Overlook and Charlton and Bay Path and Charlton saying, yes, we understood as owning these pump stations that we agree to do that work. It's kind of for everybody's insurance on our side of it, that the towns and the water systems. So that's something I will need the town's assistance with.
And it hasn't been started yet. It's something that we'll have to tackle.
Correct.
Do you have language that you could give us that we could bring to them and try to?
I asked DEP for a template of that, and they said they do not have a template.
Stacy doesn't have a template for that?
No, they didn't. They weren't very helpful with that.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be very deep and very wordy. It's just a very simple, yes, we agree to maintain the station as laid out by the manufacturer.
Yeah.
The other larger item, there's regarding the chlorine residuals and pressure issues. There are some things in the works and design that'll be forthcoming. I'm not sure how deep we want to get into that. Chris is involved with it as I am. I think, Chris, you might have been waiting for some more information to present to the board before we get in the weeds on it.
Yeah. And I think that the commission is aware that, ideally we get the big tank, we call it the big tank, the tank on the hill behind my office here, online. That's going to require some upgrades of chemical, disinfectant augmentation system. But yeah, we can start providing. And now that was kind of in the works. They just been doing some modeling on the system. Steve, is obviously there's been a challenge with residuals throughout the since since a larger portion of the school loop went online, that Steve's been challenged with maintaining, and that has typically been with blow-offs. So, getting into all the details, there's a lot to do it, at a meeting here, but I think if the commission starts developing or has questions with what they've heard, or even, things like, recently Steve had to he did what they call a chlorine burn on the system, where people would be complaining even to me about, higher smells of the chlorine, but that's, from an operational standpoint, we leave that up to the Southbridge Water Department and the handling it. But Steve's here to answer any of those. Hey, I heard the water's this, I hear the water's that. You're going to get a turnover effect when the reservoir, when reservoir number 5 goes online, Steve, right at the end of towards the end of the season. So all those types of things are, they're kind of cyclical in nature, but you folks as the commissioners are going to hear it from the, the customers of the water system. And it's really just to defer back to Steve and his crew to answer. But yeah, the big one is trying to get the tank online and the augmentation system relative to that.
Yeah, I just was curious if there's like this big project that's gonna need to be done in the next year that I don't know about, or we have to kind of think about happening.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it, Eric. That's the one. That's the one that we're trying to push. And it was kind of, we don't want to get too involved with it because it's just, guys, the second meetings, but we'll start pulling together that information and getting it over to you so you can start seeing where we are with that process.
My other question for Steve is there a limit, like, of how much water that Southbridge is willing to give to Charlton? Is there some?
So the active IMA between the two towns says that Charlton can use 500,000 gallons of water a day. Right now you're averaging, it fluctuates day to day between 150,000 and 250,000. So you've definitely got some capacity to grow.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
And truthfully, what Chris was talking about, some of these things that will be coming up, they will be hard to do over a Zoom call. It may be, behoove the parties to kind of get in a room with some maps and talk about the nitty gritty once we get there, so that everybody can really, really wrap their heads around what the system's going to look like in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months.
Okay.
Just another question I have is, just because we can have 500,000 a day doesn't necessarily mean that it would be easy to provide it if we suddenly out of the blue started using that much. And I'm just wondering how, just from a logistical standpoint, how practical would that be for it to be provided to us?
So the new pump station that was built on 169 was built for that purpose. So from a physical, can we pump the water today standpoint? Absolutely we can. Southbridge right now is permitted to withdraw 2.01 million gallons of water per day from our reservoirs. We are about 500,000 gallons a day under that. So that still leaves us with an excess capacity of 200,000 gallons a day if Charlton were to hit their maximum capacity. So there are no roadblocks that I could see to prevent you from getting to capacity. If you were to increase your volume that much, you really would want the big blue tank online. So all these things, they fold together as far as getting the system to work properly. The system was really designed 30 years ago to feed the MTA, to feed the Mass Pike. And since then, it's grown into a real domestic water system serving 400 customers. And it's had some challenges because of its layout. It was never designed to do this. It doesn't have a true mesh or grid style distribution system with a lot of loops and other things. So when Chris and I are talking with companies as they want to expand, or developers, we're always keeping that in mind, is how to get the system to build out in a way that's going to make the system operate better each time and never have a negative impact.
Yes, very important. You can't build it all at once, but every time you're making a change, is that change going to make it better or worse?
Correct.
Okay, any more discussion on that before we move on? If not, I think I'll call up Vinnie Masterson to discuss what he wants to discuss.
Paul,
Yeah,
Chris McClure is up next for the Route 20.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over
That's
that. I
okay.
called Chris and then forgot about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No issues. And so basically, the last we had discussed, obviously, if you folks have been driving up and down Route 20, they're getting closer and closer to the final, finalizing the roadway structure. We were talking about that vault and the hatch for that vault. I've currently have secured the hatch and I had to have, because the cover was out, 6 to 8 weeks. I went to a local fabrication company and had them construct a cover for this hatch. It's currently at the DPW yard. They have tack welded it. And I have let DW White, the contractors, know that, hey, prior to you laying down your final layer of pavement, we're ready to provide this access hatch to that vault that's on basically Oxbow Road there. So we're in good shape. I just wanted to give you an update on that. When that is finalized, we will get the as-built for the water line and if anyone needs access to that in the future, we'll have it. So that's all I have for that.
You don't have any dollar sign figures, do you, Chris? I know we made
Yeah.
the last time between 10 and 20,000, not to exceed 20,000.
Yeah. So currently the hatch and the makeshift cover, the frame and the makeshift cover, we're at about $4,500 in material costs. So we were able to secure it and get things moving for less than I thought. And I'm just waiting on a final estimate on the cover itself, but we will be below that $10,000 value for that. So
in good shape then.
Yep.
Okay, anybody got anything to ask Chris? No, well then we can move on to Vinny.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Paul. I don't have much for you guys, just a couple of real quick, easy questions. Mr. Groton, you touched on it a little bit earlier about could I just approve certain tie-ins to the system? And my question was going to be, if there's already a sewer stub at the property line, does that need to be brought to you guys? Or is that something you could give me the authority to approve? And I'm just talking residential connections. Obviously, any industrial uses or commercial would definitely have to go to you guys. But for a residential connection that already has a stub in place, it doesn't seem like a good use of your time to review it.
You say we would tie in, do you mean a contractor that?
Yes, not us doing the work, but if somebody came here and they wanted to connect to the sewer system and they had a stub at their location,
yeah,
pending all the other things that needed to happen, like paying the fees and whatnot, but if the stub was already there and they didn't have to cut the road, would you guys grant me the authority to approve those?
Because there are certain contractors that we would not hesitate to hire to do some of that work because we've used them in the past and we know that.
No, Paul. Paul, this is if somebody wants to build a home.
Yep.
They own a lot, they're purchasing a lot, and that lot already has a sewer.
They want to pay for the contractor, they're not.
That's all on them. That has nothing to do with us.
But Vinny, what authority did Pete Boria have? Do you know?
I'm not sure on this. Pete had quite a bit of authority on most topics, but I don't know this exact one.
I think from my perspective, if we had a kind of a list of criteria that was, there's a stub, they don't have to open the road, it's a single family home, they're gonna pay, they've paid all the fees. I think if you could check all those things off, from my perspective, I'd say, yeah, approve all those, give us a list every month and say, these people were approved, these are special conditions, and we're asking you to, asking the board to review those. That's the way I think it should go.
Okay,
I'll make cases I don't think we need to be involved in.
All right, I'll make up a list for you guys to review and just make sure I don't miss anything as far as what needs to be checked off before I can approve it. And I'll have you guys review that list of items to make sure it's everything you want.
Yeah, and then we can make a motion and vote on it next time.
Yes.
Are there other items on like things that you think you should have authority to do and it's getting kicked up to us?
Well, I wanted an open discussion here. I want to know what you guys expect of me. There's another thing such as emergency situations where, like Dennis had mentioned, in the next couple of MORs, you guys are going to hear some talk about the EQ pumps and wires burning up in pipes and excavation work. And at what point do you guys want to be notified? Or do you just want to hear about it in the monthly operating report? How much do you want me to handle of that, given Veolia the green lights of go ahead and do this, or hold on, let's get approval?
Would it be based on a financial impact, maybe?
I'm not sure. I'm just looking for you guys' input on it. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm
Really a
kind of
financial one.
spitballing too. So, to that point, and I don't know if this is where you're going, is, allow you the authority to make decisions on a day-to-day basis that don't impact budget of over more than $1,000 a month for emergency situations or something. And I'm completely making that up, but something kind of like that.
yeah, that's along the right lines. The dollar amount, I think, would need
It is low.
much higher.
Yeah. No, I was making it up. But
Yeah, no, I got it.
I think it would be something like health, safety, permit violation has a higher threshold than, hey, we want to replace, this thing, or there's a little bit more time. I think if it's a crisis, I think that that monetary amount would be a lot higher.
Right.
If it's kind of a.
Well, for emergent situations, is there like an escalation process? And I don't. So if something crazy happened on a Monday and the board meeting's three weeks away, how do you get authority? Is it the town manager? It's not us. We're not calling emergency meetings, are we?
So previously, I would go to Pete, and then when Pete left, I would call Mr. Cantwell, who was the chair.
Yep.
And just because the whole board, pretty much besides Mr. Bernard and Mr. Gagner, are brand new, I want to see where you guys want to be. Like, who wants a phone call? Who wants a text? Who just wants to wait till it's in the meeting?
I think you should run it by, so what I was starting to say before is it depends on the contractor that you anticipate doing the job. Because there was a situation a few years ago, I don't remember who hired him, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the company they hired, but everybody on the board thought it was about an $8,000 job maximum. And the company ended up billing us $35,000 for it. And so, kind of companies like that, we might not want to deal with. There's sort of be somebody in between you and the contractor to say they're fine or they're not. It's an emergency situation now we're dealing with. So we don't have a lot of time to fool around and contact people. You've got to get somebody there to do it. But, and I don't know if you know some of these other companies too. Like I say, there are companies that can do it that we've worked with before. I've gone through the sewer department, and we know that they're not going to gouge us because they want to keep getting work from us. So some of that, if you just run it by somebody else who might or might not know that, including Cheryl and probably myself, it would be helpful. But it still gives you the authority to make the actual deal with somebody, probably people you might know anyway. But
Yeah, I would echo Vinny's comments.
Yeah,
Vinny,
I
if you give me a
typically
sec.
call on the local guys.
Vinny, I agree with you though. Like in the past, if it was an emergency water main break that we couldn't handle, I called Dave just to keep him in the loop. We proceeded forward with the job. But
Right.
I guess I'd like to know, like, Paul, am I calling you? Or, who would be the person I keep in the loop at 2 a.m. when there's a main break? Oh God, I just said that out loud too. I'm sorry.
I'm okay with that, but yeah. I mean, what do you guys want out of this?
Is it the chair's responsibility? I'm not the chair, so I can suggest it, but yeah, is it the chair's responsibility for emergent situations?
I can tell you the last chair wouldn't have been out there at midnight on a water main break.
No, I think I feel like it's more like keep you in the loop kind of thing, right? Like, hey, I don't again making it up. Water main break by Amazon. We're calling whoever. Well, it'd be Slims for sewer, but we okay to do this. It might hit $50,000. That's the kind of communication we've got to, who escalated to who, so that when somebody comes back, go what path did we follow to get there? So I don't know if it's you to Cheryl to the chair, or I don't know. I don't know what the right path is, but I feel like you need one to say exactly that.
And as
Does
a
that make
commission,
sense?
should we come up with a group of approved contractors that we know wouldn't gouge us?
Is that easy to maintain, or is that kind of like?
There's some transiency there, but
In an emergency situation, you're just finding somebody that'll show up, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not a
this-
bunch of-
There's some local contractors that give really good service to the town. Slims in Berthium, he handles every sewer emergency and he takes full responsibility when he's on site.
Yeah, no, he's good. Here's what I worry about outside of here, and it's where I work is if I start to say here are my preferred firms, it looks like I'm offering favoritism, and that could bite you later. So I get that Slims is good. We're always going to call Slims. It's good not to have a document that says always call Slims.
No,
You know what I-
It's a good idea.
we called Ross on this last job where we needed an excavator. It wasn't really sewer related work. It was at the sewer plant though. So we called Ross Lemansky to dig that hole. I mean, it was in a pinch and he was available. So that one worked out.
Vinny, what number would you be comfortable with having the authority to and you don't know when you're sitting in the middle of the road how much something's gonna cost, right?
Right. Yeah, but if it's $5,000 or a lot
Yeah.
more, I don't know. What are you guys comfortable with?
10 grand sound familiar to anybody? Is that,
If I think it's gonna exceed
happy with
10,
that?
I'm calling someone.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I
And-
said,
That
on our
sounds
end, we're not
reasonable.
gonna stop working just because we think it might be more than 10 grand. We're getting it fixed and then we worry about it after the fact.
Right. But I can make a phone call as long as it's not 2 in the morning to bother someone.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
gonna
I
get
could-
fixed. And
Yeah.
we shouldn't be the people that are holding it up.
No, I mean, yeah,
Correct.
it's gonna be in motion, but somebody else will be involved at that point.
But I guess Steve, in your town, if there's an emergent situation, do you have to notify somebody? Town manager, DPW, commissioner?
All of the above. I usually try to get the DPW director on the phone. And then I'll send out an email just so if the town manager wakes up at 3 a.m. and flips open his
Yep.
phone, he sees it, there's a water main break on street X.
Well,
I
that's
actually
what
I feel really bad that I keep using the word water main break. I feel like I'm saying Beetlejuice here or something. But,
Well, I think like that's the kind of thing if we document for you, Vinny, like, okay, handle the day-to-day situations as long as it doesn't exceed 10,000 a month. For emergent situations that go over 10,000, we give you a path that says your path is, I'm making this up, email to all the commissioners notifying them. That way it's not standing in the way. And then a phone call or text to the chair or commissioner, and again, making it up, but it gives you a clear path.
No, that's great. Yeah, because that's what I was looking for. As in, what should we do if there's a situation? Because you guys don't have any procedures for me to follow yet, so we kind of needed this.
Fix it first and notify us after.
I'll send you an email next week. No, I'm kidding.
And so do you want us to formalize that? Do you want us to make a motion now or come up with the numbers later or?
I guess we can talk about it and put it on the next meeting. Is that how it's got to work?
It
Put
feels
some-
like it. And I mean, I could even just throw 3 lines in an email. I mean, it sounds like what we're saying is day-to-day maintenance, emergencies, etc., up to 10,000 a month. And then here's your communication path for something if you believe it exceeds 10,000 a month for an emergent situation, but that wouldn't stop work.
10,000 per
Incident.
instance. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, this is where if I throw it in an email to Cheryl and she distributes it, you guys can wordsmith it. But
Okay.
if you guys want, I can come up with the draft. Cheryl, send it to you, and then you can kind of go from there.
Okay.
Anything else, Vinny, that would help you?
No, that was pretty much all I had. I did talk to Steve about the gate box cleaning and operating of the valves. And he said his team takes care of about a third of the system a year, except for on the major roads. So Route 20 and 169 are what we have to contract out. So I talked to Jake Morse, see if he had any interest in that, and he did. And I'm just waiting to see Steve's plans to see how many gate boxes we have on them streets. So Jake can get us a quote.
How frequently does this have to be done, Vinny? Every 3 years or every 5 years or every year?
In Sturbridge, we did them every year. It's recommended every 3 years.
All right.
Vinny, you're our water and wastewater superintendent, or just wastewater?
I have no title.
Oh.
Um,
First order of business.
I have a drinking water treatment license and distribution license.
Yeah, but you're doing both. I didn't know whether you were doing both.
I'm just dipping my feet into the drinking water stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so by the IMA, I'm technically the superintendent for the entire system.
Right.
But I think Vinny and I will really find our footing on how we work together, like I did with Pete, like I did with Dave, like I do with Chris.
Yeah.
And sorry, this is going to seem like a silly question, but I actually thought, Vinny, we brought you back as a contractor. Are you now a full timer with Charlton, or are you contract?
Just contracted. But
Just contract. Okay.
I try to stop in the office every day and support Cheryl as much as I can. And
Yep.
I've been supporting Veolia every day in the transition period. So
Yeah, I thought it was contract, but the way we were talking, I wasn't sure if something shifted.
I spend quite a bit of time here. It's good.
Steve-
You know, I do have a lot of pride in this facility. So
Steve, are you Whitewater or Town of Southbridge?
I am Whitewater.
And do we pay all of we pay the Town of Southbridge through the individual people's sewer meter, water meter fees?
Correct.
Or we're also, Charlton is also paying?
No, so
Whitewater
it operates
DR.
as one system, and each individual homeowner's bill goes into the revenue for the entire water system.
Yeah, okay.
And if
Okay,
you
we
want
all
to look into
done?
the IMA, we can do that on the side, because that's a heck of a document, but we can come through that together if
I
you
was
want.
just curious. I was just curious how it worked.
Any other discussions? If not, I'd like to move on.
I would just like to highlight that deciding how much to delegate can be a dynamic process, and it's just based off of what sort of emergencies could we face, and do we think that Vinny or whoever is going to be able to make a quick, good decision. And I would be inclined to say we can delegate a lot. I mean, we're still the ones voting on it, just we're voting on it preemptively, but that doesn't mean it's a problem. And hypothetically, if Vinny were to spend a little more money than we expected, I'm not sure why that would happen, because he's just going to spend what is necessary to fix whatever the problem is. If he spends a lot, it's because there was a big problem. But we have the ability to say, on balance, the odds of Vinny spending too much are outweighed by the ability to act quickly in an emergency. And if we say, ooh, Vinny spent a lot of money, we could always change that. Again, I don't expect that to happen, but we do maintain the authority. It's not like we're going to chisel this in stone for all time. So for those reasons, I am inclined to support a lot of delegation in this circumstance.
Okay, do you think the 10,000 limit was a good place to set for a limit for this delegation? I mean, that's quite a bit of money. And it depends on the emergency. Some emergencies must be fixed now, some can happen tomorrow morning, so they're not all quite the same emergencies, and they're all different items. It's kind of hard to anticipate in advance.
Yeah, it
what's
is.
going to happen.
let me draft something. I'll get it to Cheryl. Feel free to play around with it. I'll probably stick to the $10,000 because I think to your point, Robert, this is test and measure, right? If we give it to him and Vinny goes out and buys a sports car for $10,000, like whoops, we can catch that in 30 days. If we look at it in like, holy cats, the water main breaks 83 times because Steve said it 15 times on this call, then and it's exceeding $10,000 regularly, then whoops, we need to increase it. So I think we come up with the draft, we set it, and we measure, and we tweak accordingly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
I think it's just that we reserve the right to change it if down the road we need to, and
Yes, that's a very good point. Yes, we reserve the right to change it monthly if we want to.
right, okay.
Okay, anybody else got anything to say? If I may move on, other business not known at the time of posting, we had the Southbridge Sanitary survey, and I think Chris McClaw can fill us in on that.
Yes, that was what Eric and Steve Gregoire were speaking of. So they're going to bring that information back and try to develop an agreement that both the Masonic Overlook and Bay Path, and I know both of them do have maintenance personnel that go to their facility, but the state just wants to see that the town and they have signed off on it. So other than that, Steve, was there anything else that was brought about that would be of concern to the commissioners relative to that sanitary survey?
No, like I mentioned, they brought up the mapping, which we've already resolved. We've moved the bacteria sampling site from Charlton Town Hall to the middle school, which is, they always try to sample your bacteria at your furthest location out where you're most apt to have the least amount of chlorine. So that item's taken care of. It's really just the item about the agreement between the two Overlook and Bay Path and the towns, and then the chlorine and pressure issues, which are related to the blue tank and a chlorine system.
And how often is that sanitary survey conducted, Steve? And did the DEP and yourself come through the town as part of that? You guys drive through and look at the infrastructure and such?
Yeah, every 3 years they come through. So we did it at the end of 24. So we can, you can expect it again in 27. And as some of the people on the call know, it's a pretty good forensic audit on their part. They're looking for a warts and all look at your system. They want to see behind the curtain. Luckily, we've got a really good relationship with the regulators, and when they come into the system, they're not looking for trouble. They're looking to assess and help. So we'll work through these items. If we don't act in good faith, especially on the big one on the tank, they're going to come down on us in 3 years, probably sooner, because they're well aware of the strengths and weaknesses of the Charlton part of our water system.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Paul, that was pretty much it. We just wanted to keep the commission up to date as to these inspections and when it came through and what the reports were, so that basically keep everybody in the know of what's going on. And if I could, Paul, just one other thing, and this would go back to Vinny and Dennis. Dennis, if you're still on the call, there was talk about when they talked about and I just want to make sure we get this as far as the Route 20 sewer line. We were looking at getting a quote to clean the sewer line from the driveway entrance to the 5E down to the pump station at the I guess that would be east of the Amazon facility. The town had in the Veolia agreement, there's a set aside for funds to do some camera inspections on a year-to-year basis, and I don't believe those were done in 2025. And I thought it would be prudent to get a quote from Veolia to clean this line, because we know it needs to be jetted in addition to be inspected, and try to encumber those funds in a request and approval through the commission tonight, if they had an estimate to vote on, so that we wouldn't miss spending those funds in 2025 because we also need to do, they also need to do some additional cameraing and inspections of your sewer line in 2026. It's a kind of requirement of the state, Vinny, as the DEP likes to see that happen, and it didn't happen in 2025.
No, it hasn't happened since 2023.
Okay,
So Pete used to make all those arrangements.
sure.
And when Pete parted ways, he kind of left some stuff on Veolia's UGAM group, who dropped the ball on it. So Dennis has followed up with that, and he did reach out for quotes. He didn't get one from the UGAM group. He got one from another contractor.
Okay.
I don't know the figure off the top of my head, but I thought it was around $6,000 to camera and jet that Route 20 line. I can find out for sure tomorrow and get you guys that figure.
So Cheryl, if we could, if the commission needed to encumber those funds prior to the end of the fiscal year, would that have to be done? Obviously, it had to be done before June 30th.
Tonight's tonight.
Yeah, and so I really, you know, I'd hate for the system to not keep up with that, because it has been, you know, a couple years since it's doing, and it's gonna, and we do know that there's an issue in that line.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from the the MTA to that pump station. It needs to be addressed. So so that's the only thing. If I don't have an exact number, I guess we couldn't encumber that. That's kind of what I was
Do we have to encumber an exact amount?
I thought you did have a $6,000 amount.
Was that for the cross country, or is that for?
That was for that was for the MTA. We're looking right now. We're looking at Route 20.
Yeah.
Right, Vinny? Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know if Dennis included disposal. So if we were gonna work off of that, and again, the agreement with Veolia states $17,400, you know, per year to do that type of work.
Yep.
So if it's possible for the commission to encumber that number that's in the contract, and whatever is expended, whatever isn't expended just goes back. But otherwise, you're going to lose those funds for the fiscal year 2025. That's just my concern at that component. But I'm not trying to push anything. I'm just trying to bring these things to light before the end of the fiscal year.
So there is money available to do the camera and the jetting of that Route 20?
Yes, that's my understanding of that.
So how do we get that scheduled before the end of June? So, I mean, if there's already an issue that we need to address, let's address it before we have an emergency and put Vinny on the spot calling people at 2 a.m.
That's exactly correct. Yeah.
Who is in charge of scheduling that?
That'll be Veolia. But what Chris is looking for is somebody to approve us to encumber the funds so that we can do the work beyond June 30th.
Okay, so we need to make an emotion to, I'll call it contract for the firms and pay in FY25,
Exactly.
but allow the work to continue post into FY26.
Yes.
If that's possible, yes.
Okay, you want to make that motion, Eric?
Yeah, I can make that motion. It's obviously dependent on the town's accounts payable, right? Because if they could pay, but I'm sorry, I'll just go back to the motion. The motion is to approve the cameraing contracted and funded in FY25 and allowing work to continue in FY26.
And jetting, correct?
Jetting, yeah.
And jetting, sorry. Yeah, I knew I'd missed something.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, we do not have any figures to put with it, Chris, on.
I would use what's allocated there, Paul, if you could. That's 17,400.
17,400, okay.
And I did miss in that motion, the motion should say to stay within the FY25 budget.
And I second that.
Okay, and we've got a motion and a second, and any more discussion on this? I think we're all in agreement that it should, the fund should be encumbered before it turns 2026.
Yep.
So Cheryl, I think we can take a vote now.
Okay, Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Groton. Mr. Groton.
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman
Aye.
and Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
Okay, we're all done for the night. Anybody got anything else?
I got a question. Hey, Vinny, how long would it take, or when could you expect to get out there to start doing the camera and jetting?
I don't know, that has to be coordinated with the contractor. But once they get out there, they were estimating it's up to 5 days worth of work.
Okay.
So it's pretty much a whole week once they get there. And they'll be shutting down a lane of Route 20 to do it, so there'll be police details, and they're gonna coordinate that with the police department because it's not emergency work.
Right.
And I believe we need to use that permit. Do we need the permit for working on Route 20, Chris?
Yeah, we will. We'll get right on that, Tom. Between Vinny and I, we'll get on that. And they had originally said it potentially they had a crew and it might be able to come through, in July. So we had, we really knew that this was going to be coming up. So we wanted to ensure that we could, we don't want to wait till to something else, like you said, something else happens there.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, we're all done for the night. Anybody else?
Paul, you need 3 people to come down tomorrow to sign?
Yes.
If all 3 people are here at the same time, doesn't that have to be a public notice?
Yeah, so you guys gotta stretch your time frame when you're coming down to sign.
All right, someone make sure they show up before 9:30, right?
No, Bob, we're going for 10:15 tomorrow for the.
All right,
Yeah.
be out before 10:15.
Okay, so Eric, if you want to come first thing in the morning or way after them, that's good.
What time's the earliest?
I'm there at 7.
Okay.
Okay, if we're in for the night, I'll make a comment that I did buy a Robert's Rule of Order book. Which anybody's welcome to borrow as long as whenever they need it. And Cheryl has one at the office as well, and the town should have one up at the selectman's office. I don't know if you can remove them from the building, but mine you can take if you're so interested. And other than that, our next meeting will be July 9th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I second.
Any discussion? I don't think so.
Everyone have a good weekend.
Gotta
Thanks,
take
you
a roll
too.
call.
Thanks,
Roll
everyone.
call.
Oh, roll call vote.
Yes, Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Groton,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Coleman.
Aye.
Hey, have a good night, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.